it was a dismantling of Spence. Crawford was just too good, too fast, too smart for Spence. I couldn't believe it.
I am the greatest. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. Just stick and move. Making you understand. Now stick and move. Keep your hands up.
And welcome to a new episode of the Stick and Move podcast. I'm your host, Trey, with my co-host over here, my homeboy, Sam. And today we are going to discuss what we watched yesterday from the potentially, I don't know, it was a legendary fight or maybe a legendary fight making between Spence and Crawford. This is an instant reaction. We're going to give our thoughts and opinions, talk about what's next for Spence and Crawford after this, what's going to happen, rematch, all that good stuff. And that's what we're going to go for today. So let's just get right into it. So, Sam, you saw the fight yesterday. Give me your initial thoughts. Let's just go straight to the reaction. It's already all over the news about how Crawford dismantled Spence. What are your thoughts about it? How did you feel about it? How did you score it? All that good stuff.
Look, I had Spence by knockout. That's what that's what I had predicted. I thought it was going to be a stoppage. I don't remember what round, but that's what I predicted. I'm Team Spence, and all of a sudden, when I started watching the fight, I saw the fight when Terrence Crawford was walking in with Eminem. And as I was getting ready and they were getting both hyped, they were both being introduced, I thought to myself, the way I see this fight is I got a feeling that Spence is going to knock out Crawford, in 7 rounds. That's the way I saw it. Anyways, first round goes on, and they're testing each other out. I was waiting for that bomb, and when the first knockdown came in the second round, I was like, no, that was a flash knockdown. When he was off balance, that was a flash knockdown.
Right,
but bro. After that second round, it was a dismantling of Spence. Crawford was just too good, too fast, too smart for Spence. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe. By the time it got to the 4th or 5th round, I couldn't believe that Spence was a one-dimensional fighter. I mean, he was just one-dimensional. He would just jab to the body and throw that a looping overhand the left. And you'd see it a mile away. You would see it, and that's all he was doing. Jab to the body and throw a huge left loop punch into Crawford's defense. I couldn't understand why Vince seen Crawford in guard. He was like that, covered. Why would Spence waste his energy hitting his gloves? And Crawford was just too slick, too fast, and Crawford showed mercy on Spence. He showed mercy. This hurt Bud more than this fight hurt Spence. Physically. Bud, you could tell. Well, what I saw, Bud felt sorry for him. Bud was showing mercy, on Spence. I believe that Bud could have ended Spence in 5-6 rounds if he really, really wanted to. Right. And I am disappointed. I am disappointed with Derek James. I blame Derek James for Spence not having a plan B. You know what? Right. The difference that I saw, and I couldn't help but think about it. The difference between I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but there's elite fighters like Mayweather, like Morales when he fought Pacquiao the first time, like Andre Ward, even Canelo, or even some other fighters. I can go on and on and on, where they know how to adapt and change styles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
Spence could not do that. He could not change styles. He was throwing the same combination all night long. Well, into
Mm-hmm.
the eighth round. He got busted up. He he got busted. I think he was bleeding by the second round.
Yeah,
And
he was.
and I was just waiting for that huge punch, that he was gonna stop, Crawford. But it never happened. And I blame Derek James. And it was a complete, total schooling. He
Mm-hmm.
made Spence look amateur.
Right.
I still believe Spence can come back and all that, but bro, that style is not gonna beat Crawford. It's not at 154 or 147. It's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna beat Crawford. Um, it was just I'm amazed, I'm blown away, and I can't believe what just happened. Crawford is right now the number one pound for pound fighter of the world.
Right.
How
I
did
had
you
the
see
same.
this?
I had the same thing. Listen, I thought Spence would win if you watch our last week episode, but I thought it was going to be a boring fight. I thought it was going to be a 10-2, 9-3 kind of fight. Kind of what we always see from Spence, where it's just he jabs you to death. He could break through your guard, that kind of thing, and just take control. Spence has never been a flashy fighter for me, and I thought he was going to take that fundamentals to Terrence Crawford. So when you say that Terrence Crawford showed mercy on him, I agree with you. I had the first round for Spence because they were filling each other out. And I saw Earl Spence trying to establish that stiff jab that I've always talked about. He tried to establish it, try to keep Terrence Crawford at bay. I remember even telling myself, okay, this is exactly what I predicted. It's going to be soft jab. It's going to be straight up jabs, and he's going to control the fight, keep Terrence Crawford at bay. But something happened in that second round, and of course, it was that flash knockdown you talked about. Well, listen, that was the first time Spence ever hit the ground, and my thought was he didn't know how to handle that. It was alien to him, and he went into panic mode, did not listen to Derek James in the corner, telling him to, all right, get back, establish, go back to basics, fundamentals, all that stuff. And I think Earl Spence, after that, did exactly what I said. That the only way Terrence Crawford is going to win this fight is if he tries to make Errol Spence brawl instead of box. And that's exactly what Errol Spence did. When he went down in that second round, I saw a different fight. I never seen Spence fight like that. He was wild. His jab wasn't stiff anymore. He was throwing more hooks and more over rights and over lefts than he normally does. And that's a perfect recipe for Terrence Crawford. And for the rest of the fight, even though I did give the fifth round to Errol Spence, because actually what I saw in that fifth round was Spence like calming down a little bit. Trying to go back.
Crawford took the foot off the pedal.
I was about to say Crawford, like, let me take a break. He's already gone down. I'm showing the fight's pretty much over. And he already took Errol Spence's best shot, and he's probably like, no big deal. So I think he took the round off, and and by the way, I know I'm jumping from place to place.
Go for it.
But Errol Spence, when his nose started bleeding in that second round, and then that third round, and then that fourth round, I've never seen a guy get so bruised up in my life that fast. Like
brother.
his face was, it just didn't look natural to me. I don't know if that was from his reaction from his surgeries or anything like that, or his body's not used to getting hit like that. He's never been hit like that, period. But his body just looked, his face just looked torn to pieces. I know Crawford was giving it to him, but man, I never seen a boxer look so disheveled so early on in the round.
That was brutal, man. He rearranged his face I
Mm,
still stand that the accident it did hurt Spence permanently. The way he
right.
would fall, the way he would fall, no balance on his feet. He was not planted. It comes with the car accident, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was busted up, couldn't stop the right hand, couldn't stop the left hand, both hands from.
Right.
But did you see the right side of Spence's face? I
Yeah.
mean, it was terrible.
And
And
that's
and
what I'm
and
saying. I'm sorry. That's what I'm saying. It's like I told you this last week. I told you this for years already. Errol Spence is not. He has some kind of injury that he's not telling anybody. That's what I think. And seeing that fight yesterday, it only exposed it. There were a couple of comments on our TikTok saying that, yeah, he has an obvious blind side that that Crawford took advantage of. And man, it was just so clear that he can't see in his peripherals. I don't think. That's just my opinion.
no, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I
Yeah.
mean, come on, man. I mean, he kept doing the same thing over and over and over and over, and he was just getting schooled. I mean,
Yeah.
Crawford just took him apart.
Yeah.
It was just sad to see, honestly, sad to
Right.
see.
Right.
And I got to give it to Spence, man. He did his best. I mean, the guy kept getting up, but
He did. He did.
I just feel that Crawford has his number, and Spence is not going to beat him again. He's not. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, not again, but he won't beat him on the rematch.
Well,
Crawford will
let me ask
destroy
you
him.
this. That's a good transition. I had it 5-2 or 6-2 going into that ninth round. I think you had it a shutout, right?
No, it was a shutout for me.
Um, yeah. Errol Spence, he said we're gonna get the rematch hopefully before the end of the year. But Terrence Crawford gets to choose the weight if he wins, right? And of course he didn't win. He just whooped his ass, right? No disrespect. But what does Terrence Crawford do? If you're Terrence Crawford, do you accept a rematch? It's a great payday, or maybe not, because we're fine. We're learning about Earl Spence here. Maybe that car accident ruined his career, and he's just so talented that he was able to hold off the past couple of fighters to now when he fights elite, he's minimal in his damage to risk to damage ratio. What does Crawford do? Does he take the rematch, get a halfway decent or maybe a good payday, or does he just move on? Yeah.
Who else is going to bring in the money?
Well,
I mean, the only way I believe that there's a possibility for a rematch is
yeah.
if Spence confesses to something. Hey, I was hurt. I couldn't see through my right eye. Blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
yeah,
I'll be better next time. But
yeah.
if you say I gave it all and I was 100%, bro, those
And
type
he
of
has.
fights, yeah, and those type of fights don't call for a rematch. It was a complete one-sided smash. And if Crawford does take the rematch just for the money, I say at 147.
Well, look, at 47, 147, you got Enos, you got Boots there, you got Virgil, you got Keith Thurman, which I don't think he wants to fight anymore. There's still Ugas. I know he'll destroy Ugas on 147. There's really nothing there. I mean, if you go to 154, of course, there's Jamel, but he's jumping up to go fight Canelo. There's Zoo, there's Castano, there's Harrison, Mendoza, Lubin. I mean, that weight range is very, very weak. What do you do if you are Terrence Crawford?
Um,
I mean,
I
he's
would
already
like.
unified twice. Does he jump up to? I think he could take 154 easily. Does he go up to 160?
I wouldn't. I
Yeah,
would stay where he was at, and yeah, and if Spence wants to make a comeback for Bud, if I was Spence, call me crazy.
yeah.
I would go and take up Boots.
Spence. I think that is the only. I was thinking about that last night. I did a post on TikTok and IG saying what's next for Spence, and I think he needs to go to 154. I think he could wipe out that division. I think Jamel's going to abandon his belts after Canelo, maybe go to 160 around that area, go after Triple G, which we've talked about before. Maybe Boo Boo, stuff like that. I think Jamel could do good at 160. And Earl Spence I don't think he should take that rematch at 147. Go to 154. I think he could wipe out the belt. He could take over in that division, rebuild himself, become undisputed at 154. Of course, that's up to Charlo also, and which they'll never fight because they're stable mates, and then build up. Hey, look, I had a bad fight. It was 2 years after my accident, 3 years after my accident. I'm ready for Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford could build up his resume as well, probably be 46-0 going into that realm, and maybe challenge Spence again.
Bro, that's a beautiful story, bro. That's a beautiful story.
I'm just trying to find a route because I love Spence. You know, I lived in Oak Cliff for a while. I just think, oh man, you're right though. He was so one-dimensional.
This changed his life, bro.
Yeah.
This was a Fernando Vargas versus Tito Trinidad beating, bro.
That's so funny. I was watching that fight last week too.
Spence is not going to be the same. Forget about Canelo. Forget about all that.
Oh no.
Forget about
Canelo. Forget about that.
If Spence stays at 147 and he goes, okay, I don't want the immediate rematch. I'm going to start from the bottom again. I'm going to go fight Boots. Let's just say, right? We're making up a story here.
Yeah.
Bro, if he fights Boots, bro, I'm scared he might even lose to Boots.
After what you said, you kind of blew my mind. Spence is wow.
Crawford killed him, bro.
Look. I kind of blame this. I want to talk about controversy. I kind of blame Spence's downfall on Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather created this culture where if you're just defensive and you stick and move and you jab and you're defensive, you use your ring as your defense and your offense as your defense, then you will win every fight. And I think Spence trained his entire career that way. I mean, there's those stories when he would go into Mayweather's doghouse and come out unbloody, untouched, and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Terrence Crawford took that advice from Floyd Mayweather. Like, yeah, you're right. You can use the ring as your defense. You can use your Philly shell or your offense as your defense. But at some point, when you fight somebody that puts you in the trenches, who puts you in an unfamiliar situation, the first time you get knocked down onto the floor, how are you going to react? The first time you're down in a fight considerably, when you're down 8 rounds to none, how are you going to react? Floyd made it sound like you never get challenged if you take my philosophy. And I think Earl Spence had a basis or the fundamentals of that philosophy, and he never even considered, it's part of the ego that, I've talked about before, where I'll never get knocked down. I'm going to be one of those boxers. I'm going to go undefeated. I'll never get knocked down. It's a new era of boxing. I'm going to be the next Floyd Mayweather. And that's great. That's beautiful. But Terrence Crawford, to his benefit, he has been knocked down. He has been down in fights before. And he's pulled himself out of disparity and became not only a boxer, but he learned how to use his brawling technique for his defense as well. And Earl Spence was put in a cave for the first time in his life, and he didn't know where the hell he was.
Yeah.
He thought he was blind in the dark, pun, because I think he does have blind sides. But I don't know. I kind of blame that philosophy on Floyd Mayweather. What do you think about that idea?
No, yes, because Floyd Mayweather has built this reputation where he's never been knocked down, being undefeated. being flawless, being untouched. And so I agree with you 100%. I didn't even think about that. You're right. When he fell down, he abandoned all plans, bro.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
abandoned it all because he felt that now everything is stacked against him and he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
He
Right.
abandoned everything. And I
Right.
just couldn't believe towards the end of the fight, seventh round, I think it was, and the eighth round before the knockout, he was throwing punches, bro, to Terrence Crawford's gloves, man. He
Mhm.
like it was obvious he didn't know what he was doing anymore. He was
Right.
just
Right.
bum rushing inside. It was just terrible. But yeah,
And
man,
that's
I
the
get it. I
yeah.
get it. Floyd created this idea to be perfect,
Right.
and that moment when he hit the ground, he realized, you know what, I'm
Mhm.
blemished. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's it. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree.
It, it's just one of those situations where he didn't know how to handle it. You know, like I said, Crawford's been on the ground. Well, Canelo's never been on the ground, but he's faced adversity. All these great boxers have had, Sugar Ray. What did he do? How did he respond to Duran and stuff like that? Hagler, when he fought Sugar Ray, stuff, it's in the history books. And when you're told your whole life, now this is kind of going a little bit off script, a little bit, but I'm, born and raised in Texas. You're born and raised in Texas. Football is king here. And oftentimes, what happens to Texas football athletes is they're told that they are the best ever, you
Yes.
know? And then when they finally get to that pro level or that a high level where they're playing people that have gone through the trenches, whether it's in state or out of state, they fall under the pressure. And I think in a weird way, that's Earl Spence, Texas guy. I mean, I know he's from New York and stuff like that, but born
Raised
Texas,
here, yeah.
raised, he has that mentality where he's always been told he's the best. Don't worry, bro, you'll never get knocked down. You're too good. Your fundamentals are excellent. Your jab is stiff. Look, you and I both had Spence for
Hmm.
boring episodes last week. I mean, we both agreed that Spence was going to win. And I think when he felt that adversity, when he hit the ground, just the game plan flew out. There was, in my opinion, I know you blame a lot on Derek James, but I think Errol Spence just went on another course and just took things in his own hands. And he's never been trained to be a brawler. And that's what he tried to do because it looked horrible when he was trying to brawl with Terrence Crawford. It kind of
Stupid.
looked,
That was stupid.
it kind of looked slow motion to me when he was going after Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford was just reading everything so beautifully and just countering fantastic. Kind of reminded me a little bit of when Pitbull fought Tank Davis, that defense that he put up against Tank Davis's uppercuts. He was just reading it. Controversial take, but I don't know. That's my perspective, at least for this fight.
Yeah, and you know what I think? I think that this is going to affect it. It's going to affect Derek James.
Mm-hmm.
Derek James couldn't look at Spence in the face. He couldn't. And believe it or not, for a future episode, I think this is going to affect Derek James, and it's going to
Mm-hmm.
affect his training with Jamel. That is just my take, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that the whole camp is going to change. I don't. For me, in my opinion, there's difference between getting beat and losing.
Yeah.
Last night, Spence got beat, and he got
Yeah.
beat to the point where it changes a person's life.
Mm.
I just don't see Spence being the same anymore. That's how bad the
So you,
beating was.
you think he's now going to be punch drunk?
Well, I just feel that he's not gonna be the same. He's gonna approach things differently. And I
Mm.
just think that I just don't see a rematch happening. I just don't see it. There's people
Yeah.
out there saying that there's no purpose for it. It was
Yeah.
just a lopsided fight. Yeah,
Well,
you know how long? It's gonna take a long time for Spence to recover, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's not going to fight in December or January whenever he wants to fight. Listen,
Yeah.
for Earl Spence, I honestly think that I think he should take a break. I know he took a year and a half off because of the accident and so on, and there was a COVID thing. He needs not only to heal from this fight, but whether my theory is right about his blind sides, just recover fully and then just make a slow comeback. He's still young, well, sort of. He's he's in his early 30s, but I think he needs to take a break and just see where the boxing field is going, because I don't really see stiff competition at 154, 147 besides a rematch or Enos. But
Hmm. But he has a
I
lot of
think,
pride. He has a lot of
yeah,
pride. He's not going to want to
I
go and try to fight Thurman or something, I think.
well, I honestly think that they're gonna make it happen because it is another payday. And if Spence gets his door cleaned again, which he will, I think he'll just retire. But he got two nice $10 million checks or whatever, So that is where I think Spence is going. So let's move it now. Let's go back to Crawford. What is next for Crawford? What does Crawford do?
I would wait to see what. Dude, he really wants Mel, man. But I know Mel's busy with Canelo. I know that, but he really wants Mel. I don't think
Yeah,
he's going to give Boots any opportunity, in my opinion. I saw that right after the knockout, when Crawford got on the ropes in the corner, he was flexing on the Charlos.
yeah, I saw that too. I saw that too.
Yeah. When the first knockdown happened, he looked into the crowd, and you know who he was looking at? Thurman.
Jamel.
And Thurman,
Oh,
yeah,
Thurman.
yeah, Thurman. If you go back, you can see Thurman. Tell him like, like wow, right, or whatever. Crawford, man, in my opinion, bro. I know everybody's gonna hate my take on this. Um, he could maybe do another fight, and that'll be it. With who? Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I just don't see Spence giving. I don't think Spence is interested in a rematch. I think it's all just talk. He got wiped out. Or do you really think Spence is going to want this really really bad?
He's gonna need the extra payday, man. I think he's gonna take a year off. And I think next September or next summer, he will go after a rematch with Crawford. Sorry. you know. As far as Crawford goes, I think he's gonna go for legacy, man.
Mm.
He's already been unified twice. I think he's gonna go to 154. This is what I think. I think Jamel is gonna go up to fight Canelo. And let's say Canelo is that we're gonna save that for next week's episode. But whatever happens, let's say Jamel loses badly to Canelo, right? And I think everybody's going to be, they're not going to give Canelo the credit because Jamel went up 2 sizes. Kind of like they don't really give Spence the credit for Mikey for going up 2 sizes, two weight classes. So I think honestly that Jamel's going to come back to 154 and take the fight with Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford is going to unify the third time, and then you could start talking about Crawford as top 5, top 10 of all time if he does unify a third class.
So who do you have your top 3 right now after Saturday night's fight?
Top 3 very quickly. I would say off the top of my head, I have. Well, I got to go to this week. Number 1 Crawford, number 2 Inoue, and probably number 3. I got to really think about it. I'm going probably Canelo, man. What about you?
I got 3 Inoue, 2 Devin Haney, number 1 is Crawford.
Wow. Those are all great. I was thinking about Devin Haney right now. He's right there on that fringe between 3 and 4.
I heard he's fighting in October, I think, with Regis.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. We're gonna break that down eventually. All right. So, you have any final words for this episode?
It was a great conversation. I was hurt with last night's fight. I felt so bad, and and it was a great fight, and I can't wait for the next fight. I can't wait to see what Spence does and Crawford does, and hopefully they get healthier and um and let's see what happens. Supposedly
Yeah.
there's like a 6-month clause for a rematch, something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's see what happens. Good episode. I just hoping everybody will like and subscribe to our channel. They can move Fighting Podcast and follow us on TikTok and Instagram.
Absolutely, man. Very quickly, and then I'll sign off. I had on Wednesday or Thursday, I put my top 5 greatest athletes as of right now, 2023. And I had number 1, I had Otani. Number 2, who did I have number 2? I don't remember. But anyways, I had number 5, the winner between Spence and Crawford. Oh, number 2, I had Messi. Number 3, I had Djokovic, the tennis guy. Number 4, I had Joker from the Nuggets, the basketball. And number 5 was the winner between Crawford and Spence. Well, after seeing the dismantling that Terrence Crawford did, probably one of the greatest championship performances I've ever seen in any sport. I leapfrogged him from number 5 to number 3. So
3,
yeah. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. Like Sam said, go ahead and go onto our Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all under the Stick and Move podcast. Leave us comments, give us some ideas on what y'all want us to talk about, and we will do that. All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and sign off, and just don't forget, man, to stick and move, baby.
Just stick and move.
I am the greatest. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit. Just stick and move. Making you understand? Now stick and move.